Tell us about your life in Coverdale. Tell us about your life in Coverdale.
We're getting stories out every day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
When you lived at.
Oh yes, we had a lot of battery hens.
Yeah.
You see, my father got only £0.50 a week.
Yeah.
And so he had to supplement it somehow or other.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of battery hens.
Yeah.
In an old house that was, just above us on the moor.
Yeah.
And we lived about 50 yards off the moor gate, so the moor was significant in our lives, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the population?
Of what?
Coverdale.
Of Melbourne.
Coverdale, that's, yeah.
Or not Coverdale itself.
That would be the village.
You see, there was Melbourne, which I was born in.
Yeah.
And go on to Carlton. I used to walk on to Carlton to go to Carlton School.
Yes.
I often hear the Dales radio mentions the Foresters' Arm in Coverdale.
Really? We're going to have to go there. Oh, you said one, and also that was the army coming up the road or something, and there was.
Oh yes, I used to hang on the gate at the bottom of the garden, etc., and the Bren gun carriers and the tanks, and I think you see Bob Morton had married Mavis.
Oh yeah.
He was a soldier, you see.
Oh right.
That's the young lasses of Coverdale were introduced to a different world. Right. Those days, the choices were few, just local lads, and let's face it, in lots of cases, lasses and lads fancy somebody from away, don't they? They don't want local people that they've come sort of grown up with, if you will.
Yeah. And what about your grandparents? Where were they? Where were they in comparison to Coverdale? Where did they live?
They lived at Carlton.
Oh, Carlton. Okay.
It was about 50 yards from the school.
Oh, right, okay.
So
you went to go and see them quite a bit, didn't you?
Oh, I nearly lived there. Yeah.
So you used to go to your grandma and she used to make you all this food and you were quite spoiled, weren't you?
Quite what?
Spoiled.
Oh, spoiled to death, I'm glad to say.
Yeah.
No, it was a good life. Have you had enough, Michael? Those big meat plates piled high with the first course. Yeah. And then, do you want some? Yes. So I piled it high again.
Yeah.
I used to eat like a horse.
Yeah.
And as I say, and she'd been a cook and my grandmother in a big house somewhere.
Yeah.
And she could make, beautiful food.
Yeah.
As I say, the just part and parcel of the day. I just used to, and I spent a lot of my time there.
Yeah. And what about your granddad? Your granddad, what was he like?
Very strict.
Yeah.
My father said about me, my father, talking about my grandfather now.
Yeah.
He'll always be alive as long as you're alive.
Yes.
because he thought I was lying, because I wouldn't take notice of anybody.
No.
My grandfather was he wouldn't take his sergeant stripes in the First World War.
Yeah.
But the officer wanted, I want you right behind me, Storey.
Yeah.
He wouldn't, they wanted him to have the sergeant stripe, but he wouldn't. I don't know why he didn't take them.
No.
Did you know great granddad's, Sylvester, your granddad's, politics?
No, not really. The thing is, they went to the First World War. He was on the Hindenburg line.
Mm-hmm.
They'd got to the wire. He was in the Grenadier Guards, and they got to the wire where they had to cut through. The last 1,000, they had about 3,000 yards to go, and the last 1,000 they ran, and one of our own shells, while they were cutting the wire to get through, one of our own shells landed behind them, and him and his mates were all blown over the wire. And he had a broken leg, and he did his best for his mates. Not one of them survived. They all were dead or dying.
And what about being shot as well? He was shot one time. He had what saved him? It was something that saved him in his pocket. What was
Well,
it?
a cigarette case, was it?
I think was it a cigarette case? There was something.
A solid
Yeah.
tobacco pouch or something
Yes.
like that.
Saved his life, didn't
Yeah, or from serious injury anyway.
he? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but my father went to Urbridge Grammar School,
Right.
and when it came down to, my grandfather wouldn't allow him to be in the cadets,
No.
because he said, I've seen enough war.
Great granddad was Sylvester Whitehead. That's what.
Yes,
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 that's
oh he was, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so he was quite strict with you, though, wasn't he, Dad?
Oh yes, but he seemed to, he just wanted me around.
Yeah.
I defied him at times. My aunt had said something about there was me, my hands on my hip, defying my grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he thought more of somebody that defied him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandma, and then your aunties.
And they were great.
Auntie would
You know,
name your
those three.
aunties,
I had other aunts. There was Kathleen, the eldest, she was about 19 years older than me, was Kathleen.
Right.
And then there was Mavis, she was 12 years older than me, and Barbara, the youngest, 10 years old.
Right.
Those two were like elder sisters. And when of course, they bossed me, and of course, and I wasn't going to be bossed, I used to kick him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but...
But you speak more to your granddad than your dad about things.
yes, yeah, well...
worldly things.
To a certain extent,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, when I didn't turn up when I was in my teens, and where's Michael? I haven't seen him lately. You know, my grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
he talked to me and wanted to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how it was more acceptable than talking with his son,
Yeah.
to talk to me.
Sometimes that happens, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And my father never spoke back to my grandfather. Like, we had three aunts. He had, my grandfather, 3 daughters. 3 children died. As they did, he had 7 to start with, but ended up with 4. And, you know, my grandfather, as I say, he was a hard man. But one of his daughters died at 6, Betty, and he was, who found him? He was behind a curtain. He'd been to the First World War, but he found, you know, he was crying his eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody who could have believed that of my grandfather. But he felt for his children, he loved his children. But there you are, it's just part and parcel of life. But he didn't let my father join the cadets, that's for certain. And as I say, it's same as when I got my call-up papers. My father said, "Oh well, you don't need to go." I was an apprentice, of course. "I know I don't need to go," I said, "but I'm going." "Why?" He jumped up now, but of course it made no difference. I wanted to go. I wanted a change of scene, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never ever regretted going into the military like I did and doing the national service. To me, it was just what I needed. It taught me so much about life and people, did the military.
And do you think you had that effect on a lot of people, your generation? Because you were one of the last few to do it. How many years after you?
If I'd have waited till I was 21, I would have missed it.
Really? So what age was it you went then?
18.
18.
I was called up in 1950. Yes, 55. I would be 18, you see, September. But I actually went on in 1956, February. February the 16th, 1956. I went to Aldershot. I remember.
How big a camp was Aldershot then?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
The main one of Catterick and Aldershot were our main camps. And as I say, I've never regretted it.
23284518. Do you remember that number?
23284518.
Yeah.
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 Yes, it was part and parcel. You didn't get your pay unless you repeated your story 518. The last three.
Yeah, that's 3 digits.
Yeah. But as I say, I wouldn't have been as lucky if it had been a war at the time.
No, that would have put a different slant on
A
the
slant
situation.
altogether.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, I've never regretted doing what I did. I'm glad I didn't miss the army. It taught me so much about human nature and life, really.
But you went in what position? Was it private? You went in a private?
Yes, I went in.
And so you went private, corporal, sergeant? Is that
No,
what
I didn't get to sergeant.
You didn't get sergeant?
I got full corporal.
Okay.
And I think I was due to get sergeant, but only if I signed on.
Okay, for how long would that be?
That would have been 22 years with a 3-year option.
Hey, hello. Goodbye this life.
Yes.
That would have been a completely different life.
And
1950s, so
yeah,
you had some situations coming up, Suez, Malaysia. There would have been situations in Malaysia, 1950s, wasn't there? All sorts of events going around the world.
All sorts going on. And as I say, I did my 2 years, and there was a RSM Tierney. Now, he was instrumental in giving me the life I've had, freedom. And I'll tell you why. Here, there was a Major Brickles, when I arrived at Blandford. Major Brickles was Major QM stores, quartermaster sergeants for the stores where I had to go and collect. So I went up to him and saluted, as you're supposed to do. And the first thing he did was hit me in the stomach. That was an officer and a gentleman. I said, "Excuse me," I didn't go down. I wasn't ready for it, naturally. But I didn't go down. I said, "Excuse me, sir, if you ever want to try that again, let's have you in the gym. Just you and me. Gloves on or gloves off. It makes no difference to me." Oh, hard money. Right, I put me on guard commander, etc., that night, and came in next morning. I didn't know the routine, so of course I charge for all this, but he never hit me again. And these two, Major Brickles and Major McAdam, was the CO, commanding officer of that camp. Now, neither of them liked me, etc. Probably because I booked the authority. And RSMT, I was being told off. You were McAdam, and Brickles, but McAdam was telling me and giving me a hard time. And this ex-RSM, he was a captain by then, he'd worked his way up right through the ranks, and he knew me from Aldershot. And he saved my life, because I'd have exploded. He stood next to me. He was in between Major McAdam and me, and he was muttering to me all the time, "Take no notice, Corporal. Take no, ignore him, Corporal. Ignore him." You know, he was muttering away to me, making sure he knew what I wanted to do. If he hadn't been there, I'd have burst him. And then I'd have gone in a military prison, they'd have thrown the key away. My life, you wouldn't be here, my life would have changed completely. You know, I'd have spent years in a military prison. So he, in my opinion, saved my life. He gave me the chance to have the life I've had, to wander the world and to marry who I've married, to have the children I've had, etc., etc. He made all the difference. And that was RSMT, and I still think of him as RSM. I can see him, the whole playground, bringing us all to attention, marching us round. And I remember one officer was preoccupied. I was just over the road, and one officer was walking up, and of course RSMT, and he was on the company on the front of the offices, and of course he came smartly to attention and saluted, and he was preoccupied and he didn't notice. "Excuse me, sir, but I saluted you." Sorry, RSM. But they had a lot of power at the RSM.
Yeah.
And he, as I say, but he went through. The others often bought their commission. He went right through the ranks to get to captain.
Yeah.
He might have even gone further. I never knew what happened to him, you know, because I went elsewhere. I went to Catterick, etc., etc. But no, it was an experience that I'm so glad I had.
But how did you become a PT instructor then?
Pardon?
How did you become a PT instructor?
I went through what I thought was the best way of doing. So first of all, I went down to the gym and saw the QSMI, Quartermaster Sergeant Instructor. I said, "I want to be a PT instructor in your gym." "Right," he said. "First thing first, get your first stripe. Go on the square, and then come and see me." That's what I did. And I went to the Johnson, to Sergeant Major, to Company Sergeant Major Johnson. I said, I want to go into the gym. "As far as I'm concerned, Corporal," he said, "you're now a drill instructor in my company." "All right, sir." Of course. Next day I was carpeted. "I see you got your own way, Corporal." Sir, but he forgave me, going behind his back, and had me down as the fittest PTI we've got. But that was the military, and it was well worth the experience to me. You know, I was very lucky to go in, and the fact that I didn't stay with my father and miss it was a source of joy, really. I'd have missed so much. You know, the times I've thought of, there isn't many days that I actually don't think about the military. Yeah, and it's over 60 years ago since I was in the military.
And you usually think of it favourably.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Which is quite funny for someone who doesn't like taking orders.
No, but I was in a position where I was giving them.
Yeah.
And nobody particularly gave me any orders, because every year they had administration or admin, and they had every officer in the company, non-commissioned and otherwise, had to pass certain standards as regards physical training.
Mm.
If they made my life a misery, I'd have failed them. They knew it. So they didn't make my life a misery. You know, they wanted to get through, and a lot of them weren't fit.
Yeah.
Really, and they never, you could never have got them up to standard. They'd have lost position.
Are you saying you manipulated those marks, Dad? Are you saying you
Yes.
scratched someone's back as they scratched yours? Is
Yes.
that what?
Yes. Yeah, and it worked. And as I say, I had pleasant military experience, you know, because I had so much say and power as a PT instructor. Everybody had to, they didn't make my life a misery,
Yeah.
you know, but they did others that they could get away with. But so it was the best job in the army. We were free. We took them on PT. I decided whether I wanted to take them for a run or gym training, etc., etc. And I loved it. I loved the job, etc., etc. I couldn't have had a better job in the military. And as I say, I came out with the best record you could get from the army, which was very good, I think.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was, I got the top mark for my military time.
Getting back to your dad and his company, how many people worked for him? How many people worked for Grandad?
Not many, really, but I think at one time there was about 7, something like that.
What was you've told stories about one of the chaps that whistled at a woman and Grandad sent him home. What was that? What was his name?
It was Wally.
Wally, that's it.
Wally Baker.
Yeah, Wally Baker.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and either that or he was swearing or something. I think it was more swearing. And Wally, go on home. Go on home. Next day, Wally didn't turn up. Father went and knocked on the door. Why aren't you at work? Well, you told me to go home. Well, that was yesterday.
But he was known for his fairness, wasn't he, Grandad?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He certainly wasn't a bully at all in any shape or form.
No.
He was strict,
Yeah.
you know.
And he was strict with you, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
If you'd employed him, the job would be done correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he was good at what he did. And he was very particular in all his work and everybody. And as I say, he was known for what he was, etc. And Wally hadn't let the side down by swearing, you know, because things hadn't gone right, and Wally had a good swearing session. I suppose that's where I got it from when things go wrong. Because if I had just my father, there was no swearing on the job at all, you know. But as I say, he was known for his good work and all the rest of it. And it didn't do me any harm to learn how to do the job properly. Yeah.
What about your life when you went to Australia? How old were you when you went to Australia? First time?
When you left the army, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
21, was it?
I was just turned 21 on the 4th of September as I sailed for Australia. And I sailed, you notice, on the Southern Cross Shaw Savile line. The funnel was at the back of that. You can look it up, actually, on the web. And we went overland through Zulu land, I can't remember now, and picked the boat up, asked the captain, went to the captain of course, and checked out that he was going, what dates he was going to be at Durban. So we went overland and met up again. And
Who's we? The
the New Zealander and the Canadian. And I said, my cabin and bunk will be there. Oh yes, you've paid for it. Do you know how much it cost to go to Australia all those years ago?
How much?
£164.
That probably
On a
been
cruise
lot.
liner.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what it would cost to sail to Australia nowadays, going right round Africa, etc., etc.
How long were you gone?
A year.
A year.
Yeah, yeah. It was I mean, it was exciting. It was a great. Worked on banana plantation, a whaling station. The whaling station only lasted for 4 years. It didn't last very long.
No.
And I felt so sorry for those beautiful creatures.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that at all.
No.
So I was glad to leave it. But no, it was adventure.
What was the name of your friend you made in? Was it Eddie?
That's right.
Eddie, yes, Eddie Round. He was from this North Country. I can't just remember exactly where he was from, but he was a good lad. Was Eddie? He used to play the ukulele and take off George Formby.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, you
and
met with him years later. He came over to here, didn't he?
yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was older than me by some years. I was 21 and he was 37.
Okay, yeah, so it's quite
Yeah.
different.
Right.
Yeah, so
But
and
he lived in Australia. He ended up
yes,
living there.
yes, he did. Yeah, and of course he used to sing some dirty ditties, of course, as you do. And we sent all the women out the cabin, and then he sang these. And of course, they were listening outside the door. And when he stopped, they burst in, "Sing it again! Sing it again!" Yeah. Very easy to get along with. Good, it was a good mate to travel with.
So how did you meet Mum?
We were up in Coverdale, and she was at her friend's, Margaret Hamill. And where were we? Oh, that's how we met. She was she actually, pinched me cap or something like that. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
You know, but drew attention to herself, herself, you know, by me, etc.
Yeah.
And and that's one thing led to another.
Yeah.
And
you were married.
we were married very soon, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was all
November the 5th, 1960.
1960. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
61 years.
You got to business quite quickly because twins were born a month. You're 1 year, 1 month later.
Yeah, well, it just shows that.
So
Yeah.
November the 5th, 1960. I didn't
Did-
know that, but yeah. Well, I mean, I would have worked it out, but yeah.
Yeah, November the 5th, 1960.
Firework night.
Fireworks, yeah. There were
And
explosions.
some would say there was fireworks.
Yeah, that's right. And that's it.
Yeah.
times did you used to work down when you were young, Dad?
Not every other day, but I used to work. But when I was young, I used to work out every day. I loved it so much.
Well.
But you see, at 84 now, more or less,
Yeah.
I've lost shoulder width.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Where's your shoulders gone?"
Yeah.
I've lost my deltoids, my etc. etc.
Yeah.
You know, you do change. I've gone thinner and smaller since I've got older.
Yeah.
I used to walk.
I used to go down Robbie Lane with Dad, and he used to walk up and down Robbie Lane.
Yes, along the lane there.
So you didn't walk a little bit up in the on your hands?
No.
That must have been a memory. That's a false memory.
There you go.
No, that's. But I could walk up stairs.
Oh, so, all right. Maybe that was
That
it. Yeah.
I remember my feet were so far over because I had to go over like this to raise this hand.
Yeah.
I had to release it, and so I had to go well over, bouncing on one hand before I could put it on the next step.
Yeah.
And I used to get my feet over and my weight over it so I could push up and onto that step and then the next one and so on. As I say, I used to love. I used to walk quarter of a mile if I could each day on my hands.
On your hands, that's right.
Yeah.
You never quite made 100 press-ups in a minute, did you? Not quite.
No, 96 I think.
Yeah.
Well, the same as doing press-ups in general. You bring your elbows in tight and keep them into your sides. It's a different, you can't do as many,
No.
or by any manner of
But then
means.
slowing it down, you can't do as many.
No, of course you can't. You've got to vary it. Yeah. And it gives you something to aim for. As I say, it's been grand with having a weight training room. You don't have to go to a gym. No, there comes regularly.
Every other day.
Every other day, and he loves the fact you can go. It costs a fortune, and having to trail to a gym, etc., etc. That's all you want.
Then your other friend, there's Brown, isn't there?
Oh, Bran, yes, definitely. Yeah.
He's a good mate, isn't he?
Oh, he's a good mate.
But, I mean, you worked with him many years, was it 20 years?
Yeah.
I don't know how long I worked with Bran.
A long
Amount
time.
of time.
Because when I was doing hairdressing, I used to come home for dinner and Bran was there.
Yes,
I was 16 when I started work at Janice's,
yes.
and I got married when I was 24. So Bran was coming then, and one of his favourite things when Mum made him dinner was I'm full of as a frog.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm full as a frog.
Yeah. Aye. Well, we meet up every week.
And every week now. So what would you say is one of your philosophies in life?
One of what?
One of your philosophies in life. What would you say is important in life?
Just offhand, I don't know.
Don't have any philosophies in life.
I've had plenty of philosophies at one time or other, but I can't remember them now.
That one doesn't bloody work. I'll have to get a new one now.
Yeah, it's like anything else, isn't it? There's no smart answers to life.
No.
You fumble your way through as best you can,
Yeah.
etc. Harm no one and please yourself.
Yeah.
That's what go your own way and take no notice of anybody.
Well,
That's my philosophy.
yeah.
If you want, I don't believe in conforming. As I say, as long as you harm no one, you just go your own sweet way and to hell with what anybody thinks. And I suppose in the military I became an instructor, etc., etc. And in the prison service. What are you leaving for, Mr. Storey? You're the fairest officer here. I didn't want to bully anybody, but what I said had to be, had to be. I remember I was on the tower, I only just arrived, and I'd been given a rifle and rounds and a revolver and rounds. You're on that tower. They were supposed to give me training. Lucky me army training came in, and these two blokes came round, one a big fat guy, and I said, "Where are you two lads going?" Because I was new, they thought they could get past me. so-and-so. Well, I said, you're not going so-and-so yet. You've another half hour. And there was a wood yard beneath us, and axes lying around. And he picked up an axe and threw it back. What do you do if I threw this at you? I pumped around straight in the breech. I said, I'll plant one straight in your chest, put it down.
Yeah.
He realised I meant it. If that axe had left his hand, I'd have shot him dead.
Oh, well, yeah, you'd have every right to.
Yeah, yeah. And do you know, I had no problems with anybody. What you leaving for? You're the first officer here. But when I asked somebody, right, Mr. Storey, you know, it was just part and parcel. I'm glad I mixed my jobs up and did all sorts of different jobs. You know, it made life far more interesting than just staying in the building trade and working for my father for most of me, well, a lot of my time. No, didn't appeal to me at all. I wanted to do other things, and I did do. And as he said, you always did please yourself. Yes, I know, but my ambition was just to wander the world, see as much as I can, and now I don't want to go anywhere. I'm happy. I'm happy living my life, even though I am half blind. When I do that, all you are is a blur.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So it's just in your left eye you've got some.
Got some. I've had a bleed in my left eye, so I can't read. I can't watch television.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So that's you know, it's just.
So you're left with your thoughts quite a lot then.
Absolutely. I have nothing else but my thoughts. I can't read now. I'm glad I read as much as I did, but I can't keep up with relevant events that are happening, not by reading. It's only by somebody talking like you, etc., etc., that can keep you up to speed, if you will.
You know, you have to depend on. It's like when you read a book in another language, you have to depend on the translator being good enough to be the translator of a great book. So if you're reading Tolstoy, you're not reading Tolstoy, you're reading the translation of
translator's
Tolstoy.
View on
And this is difficult. So you're getting information, and you've got to depend on them delivering information. Yeah, definitely. It's all interpretation. It's all interpretation.
Yeah.
And you know, people do like to manipulate.
Of course they do.
Yeah. So they have their own views. Very, very rare to find people that are just going to be completely fair on both sides.
Sometimes to manipulate means essentially that you will survive emotionally, financially, or even physically. You know, as I say, life isn't easy, and I think it's been, as you say, for the last 70-some years, since the last war anyway. We've had it in this country, not worldwide, but in this country we've been very, very lucky.
Yeah, we have.
You know, a lot of people don't realise how lucky we've been, and they may eventually look back on these years as a real wonderful time, relatively speaking, in comparison to what they have been and what they will become.
And I think I am going to have to go over there because it's now 6:10. Oh
yes,
gosh.
yeah.
But I've got some time, I think, on the weekend, Dad. Have you got some time?
Oh yes, definitely.
Well, we've got some time then, so it's not over yet.
No, well, I've enjoyed the conversation.
Not too intrusive, these cameras, are they?
Huh?
They're not too intrusive, these cameras.
I didn't take any notice of them.
Oh, good. Let's just take that off you, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I've forgotten about that.
That's good. Yeah, these are quite handy.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was good, son.